Hello guys, coming back at y'all with another Commander Deck Tech video. As always, I publish polls to my patrons, give them some options that they can vote on. This time I mixed it up a little bit, gave them some more competitive Commander deck options just to see if they liked it. And while a couple people did, ultimately they just want to see something new and creative. And we have Goreclaw, Terror of Sisma. I'm not exactly certain about the pronunciation, but we do know about the rest. Creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater are going to cost you 2 less to cast. Have a 4 mana green, 4/3 legendary creature bear. Whenever Goreclaw, Terror of Sisma attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 and gains trample until end of turn. Now, what I immediately think of when you mention creatures power 4 or greater is the ferocious mechanic from the Khans of Tarkir block. This is relevant for creatures with power 4 or greater because you have certain cards that do different things if you meet that criteria. Something simple as Whisper of the Wilds doesn't just tap for 1 green mana, but instead it taps for 2 green mana, which makes it pretty playable in this kind of deck. Now, you already have some decent cost reduction, but even though you're able to reduce something massive by 2 generic, you still need some decent ramp, and in green, you have some of the best turn 1 plays: Arbor Elf, Elvish Mystic, Llanowar Elves, Fyndhorn Elves. In a mono green deck, these are all pretty relevant and can make it easier for us to get Goreclaw out there sooner. It is, after all, important that we have our green mana, because cost reduction of just 2 generic isn't going to reduce that cost. Now, the rest of the deck is going to be good value green creatures, nothing super complicated. This is going to be a mono green stompy variant, which I'm going to assume that's going to be the variant that most people are going to go with when they go to build Goreclaw. After all, we are currently in a standard that is an absolute love with anything having to do with dinosaurs. We have the awesome Galta Primal Hunger, a 12 mana gigantic elder dinosaur that's a 12/12 with already insane cost reduction for itself. Didn't really need any more, but still, making this 2 green mana for a 12/12 trampler is just fantastic. And it's just a prime example of how quick you can be with this deck, getting insane power and toughness out there as soon as you possibly can. And just to give you an idea of good stuff green, we're going to be playing creatures like Pelucranos World Eater just to give us some removal, Bellowing Tangleworm just to make combat easier for us, Garruk's Pack Leader just to get some extra card draw, Regal Force just to synergize with mono green. I think it's one of the better cards you can go with. Can never underestimate good value in card draw. Vigor, one of my favorite cards in green, preventing damage to your other creatures and giving them more +1/+1 counters, while at the same time our commander is capable of giving those creatures trample, is pretty sweet and a nice interaction. Any creature-based deck would love to play Archetype of Endurance and Craterhoof Behemoth. These are 2 awesome staples for any creature-based deck. Archetype is going to make them very difficult to deal with, and Craterhoof is a game ender. And hey, I mean, nobody loves seeing Vorinclex Voice of Hunger, an 8 mana creature that you can just pay 6 mana to play with in this deck, so have fun with that. And of course, you could play Eldrazi. Those are super expensive. Reducing those costs by 2 generic should make them easier to get out there. But that's going to be pretty much it for the creatures. You're just going to see a lot of good stuff in mono green anyway. Synergies aren't too complicated, but we are playing green, so you want to take advantage of green stuff. Green Sun Zenith. Searching your library for a green creature card, that's a no-brainer. We could easily just search up whatever we need. Terastodon for removal, or we just want to easily get out a Craterhoof Behemoth. That's not a bad idea either. One of my favorite cards if you want to speed up any green deck, Rishkar's Expertise. This is a deck that's all about massive power, so drawing cards equal to the greatest power among creatures you control is fantastic, but it's better than a lot of other green card draw spells because it's going to allow you to cast a card with converted mana cost 5 or less from your hand for free, so you get some more value out of it. You're not just drawing a bunch of cards with really nothing else to do with your turn. 6 mana is pretty expensive, and Goreclaw does not give you cost reduction for sorceries. Now, just because we have a good synergy with creatures doesn't mean that we should take it easy on the removal. This is mono green. We love our creatures, but we also love artifact and enchantment hate. Never hurts to play something like Nature's Claim, Naturalize, and Croson Grip. Even though we have artifact enchantment removal on our creatures, having instants that are capable of doing that as well gives us an out to something like Torpor Orb. Also, having responses is pretty good. We have Heroic Intervention, Hexproof and Indestructible, pretty much makes our creatures impossible to deal with for a short period of time until the end of turn. Now, one thing that I must bring up is very important is getting even more card draw, and looking at enchantments to get that card draw is pretty sweet. We have Kavu Lair, we have Elemental Bond, and Colossal Majesty, which is the newest card here. These are all going to give us card draw whenever a creature with power 3 or greater, 4 or greater enter the battlefield. Now, Kavu Lair is going to do it for everybody, so be careful with that, but it should benefit you the most seeing as your deck is built around this theme. But getting more card draw for playing creatures is pretty sweet. Colossal Majesty doesn't work like the first two. It is going to give you upkeep draw, which is similar to something like a Phyrexian Arena in value, which can be pretty good. Getting an upkeep draw is just good consistency that's easy to overlook. And if you're looking for even more consistency, one of the best value cards in green that you can go with is Lifecrafter's Bestiary. Pretty awesome artifact, going to give us an upkeep scry, but we play a lot of creatures, 42 to be specific. Paying a green every time we do that to draw a card might seem insignificant at first, but play a lot of creatures, you're going to be drawing a lot of cards, and with cost reduction, you'd be surprised at how much mana you have left over. And if you absolutely love the cost reduction that you get off of Goreclaw, why not throw in an Emerald Medallion or even a Ronus's Monument? Green creatures are going to cost 1 less for you with a Monument, and Emerald Medallion just makes all of your green spells 1 mana cheaper. Again, this is generic mana. It is worth noting you are not going to be reducing green mana. That's pretty much the deck though. It's very easy, not overly convoluted. It's a creature deck. At first, I was thinking about going with a Primal Surge build, but then realized that the only way to really make that work would be to go with some sort of haste enabler, and the only one in green I think is Concordant Crossroads, which is a bit expensive, and I don't want the deck to just be a 1-card win deck. I want it to be more about Goreclaw instead of that 1 win con. But yeah, pretty much good stuff green, like a lot of mono green decks are, with the exception of Elves. You're going to see a lot of the same cards in other mono green decks as well. But anyway guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think about Goreclaw. Some people might even go with Bear Tribal, although I think that's kind of difficult seeing as most bears aren't going to be big. You're better off just going with massive creatures or even Eldrazi. You all have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next video.